This is why. This is just some of the video that led to Rice's suspension. Outside the Lines has obtained not only the roughly 30-minute video reviewed by Rutgers officials, but also hundreds of hours of additional footage of Rutgers practices from the 2 seasons prior to this year. There are shots of Rice heaving balls at players, even at their heads.
And that is shocking. Now, so just for anybody who needed some context, Rutgers University basketball coach, that's who we just witnessed throwing balls and insults and physical violence at his players for not performing as he wanted them to in practice. And initially, so he's been fired now, and that came out just a couple of days ago. But this has been going on an awfully long time, and he was suspended and fined a ginormous amount of money, 50 grand or something. But this man was allowed to continue coaching basketball until finally the video became public, and then Rutgers acted. Yes. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, there's many different things you could say about this. Why would this man have been allowed to continue coaching to begin with? Like, why does something have to become big public news and, become a viral sensation on the internet before an organization is willing to act on it?
Well, it's interesting because last week we talked about loyalty in sport. And I think that's what you're kind of seeing here, almost to the extreme. I mean, one thing that comes to my mind, a totally different situation, but you think about Penn State and everything with Joe Paterno and the abuse of kids and everything. There's loyalty there. The Penn State knew about it, didn't say anything, became public. And then obviously everything with the fallout there. And then with this, the coach's name is Mike Rice. Same kind of deal. The athletic director over there, Tim Pernetti, knew about this, sent him to anger management. And then it was only when, I think it was ESPN that got their hands on that video, and they were threatening to release it. And then, of course, Rutgers tried to get out ahead of it, and it just creates this huge thing. And I don't understand why, really. I mean, if this is minor hockey, this guy is gone within seconds, right? Like, I don't.
Bad behavior tolerated in sport.
Tough love. Tough love.
Yeah.
And that's the thing is, I think a lot of coaches think that they need to be the tell it like it is, you got to toughen up, you got to pull up your socks, that kind of thing. And I mean, even I didn't look too much into it, but I did read one article that said that they interviewed a few past players who said yeah, I mean, I didn't really have a problem with it. Yeah, he threw balls at me, but didn't really have any. One guy said, yeah, it really didn't make me do better, so he should probably stop. But I mean, as much as we see clip after clip after clip of him smashing kids with stuff, for a lot of these players, they're just this is how I was brought up, or this is how I played sports, and I just expect my coach to be really hard on me. I'm not saying it's right, but I feel like that's where it's.
But I think really it's a case of old boys school. We're talking high-level sport. We're talking win at all causes, and that has been the motto for years and years and years. And now there's so many things, physical abuse, sexual abuse, drugs, steroids, all these things are coming out. And as parents, we're coming forth, and I think as students, they're becoming more empowered. So whether or not these kids thought it was okay to check a ball, who's to say that, and I'm not saying that, but being in that environment, when they have kids, when they want to, they might be then the parents in the stands yelling at, I'm not saying that, but we've seen that pattern, and I think now this is the way to stop that pattern and clean up the corruption that's in sport.
And coaching sports, it's so difficult in that, you can't be too easy, because then it doesn't look like you want to win, and then your players get a little bit lazy, and then they a little bit lax, and their play suffers. Can't be too hard. Obviously, you can't go to this level, but you can't be too hard, because then they almost turn a blind eye, kind of like an annoying boss. You know what I mean? There's
hard, and then there's asinine.
Oh, absolutely.
And then and he clearly rage issues, and he went for anger management. I mean, why did no one look at this and sit him down and say, so how's your family doing? Because if you're throwing basketballs at kids' heads because they didn't dribble well enough, what are you doing at home when your kid?
I think we're version on slander, but
it's true. No, I'm just asking. I'm not saying that he did that, but let's ask the question. Do you really think the guy's got a switch on and off, and the only place he's raging is on the basketball court?
I think there's a parallel to be drawn here between sport, professional sport, or high-level sport, and the military. There is a need in both cases for discipline, right? And some people's I guess, strategy to create an air of discipline on a team, or whether it be on a team or in the military, is borderline abuse, is to like break people down and then build them back up, right? And I think that's the problem here, is that in some sports situations, they are finding the need to break these kids down and then build them back up, sort of like in a team setting, and that's what's happening here.
But I think the question was, why was he not stopped? Why didn't somebody question him? And that's what Kim is saying. And I think again, we go back to the threat that I might lose my job, I might lose my spot on the bench, I might not get played the next game if I question, or even if I even mention to somebody else, whistle blow.
If these sports organizations know about this behavior and aren't doing anything about it until they're forced to, it means they don't have as big a problem with it as we think they should. They know about this behavior, and the only time they're actually firing these people is when it comes out and they're being forced to because of a PR.
But where's the common sense about the fact that it's clearly a bigger issue? Like, clearly, nobody just goes and rages like that without there being something underneath it. And
Is it a bigger issue that the teams care about?
evidently not.
If they're getting results,
I'm not
then
too sure.
Not since he came over to Rutgers. No, he hasn't really brought them to that next level that they want to get to. So that's the thing. He's doing all this, and granted, I mean, coaches at that level are under such incredible pressure themselves.
Sure.
You know, you want to be able to produce wins for your university. Of course, this is a little bit far, but I mean, you can imagine almost kind of that pressure that they're under too, and maybe this is a byproduct of it.
The dean is maybe throwing basketballs at him, you know?
Well, no, I think that's an interesting point, though, and you alluded to it a little bit earlier with the steroid use. Like, what's the bigger abuse? I mean, let's talk about just abuses in general. It's easy for us to say, like, yeah, like hurling something at somebody is like, physical seems to be something that we can say, no, that's wrong. But is it any worse than a coach that's going around saying, if you really want to do well in this sport, you need to take these drugs, you need to take these enhancements or whatever, right? And so, as you said, it's a bigger issue.
And I think this is just maybe, you know, the dusting or just the opening of a crack of what's underneath, because we don't know, but I can imagine, you know, all the back end dealings and everything. So their university becomes a winning team.
This isn't the only time and place this sort of thing happens. It just happened to be caught on video, and ESPN happened to broadcast it, and now everyone knows about it. But if you think that's the only place that a Mike Rice type coach is coaching, you'd be quite wrong, no doubt.
Well, it makes you wonder if this is more prevalent than not. You know, if this is the common place, like if this is
maybe that's why it took so long to come out.
Exactly. Yeah.
Good question.
Is it any different than when we were talking at the beginning of the show about the gay couple and being ostracized in a small community, and it's like so backward, and someone just chucking basketballs, like such a
where's the
way.
common sense? Where on any level did he ever think that would be okay? But again, I chalk it back up to he's got problems that nobody wanted to address, and bottom line, they left him to now he's out of a job, and if this had been addressed, disgraced, exactly. And he was quite contrite in interviews. He was, I was wrong. He was looks very downtrodden and sad, probably because he lost a, six-figure salary and
because his lawyer told him to do that,
or maybe,
too, right? And I think that there still is that overall attitude in sport that it's okay to be pretty hard on those kids. And not even just sport, dance and anything else, right?
Any way to try to get to that next level, you know what I mean? And that seems to be what it always comes down to. And me being a sports reporter, I'd like to think that this is as extreme as it gets. And there's the majority of the schools and the majority of professional teams. This is not you know how it goes. Of course, at that level, you have the pressure, so you're going to hear it from your coach when you screw up. I get that. That's totally fine, but you shouldn't have to feel threatened that a basketball is coming your way.
All right. I'm going to break the fourth wall. Darren, baby yet? No baby yet. All right, maybe by next week. Okay, guys, everybody go and have a good day.